This model from the class 254 is in TT gauge and comes from the company called VEB Berliner TT-Bahnen in the former GDR. The model dates from the 1970s and has 6 axles, 2 of which have traction tires. 4 of the axles are powered. The headlights and taillights are functional and change automatically with the direction of travel. The length over the buffers is 154 millimeters. This electric locomotive, which is very eye-catching due to its shape, was originally called the E94 series and was developed for heavy freight service. In particular, it should be used on uphill stretches such as the Geislinger Steige in Germany. The first of their kind was delivered in 1940 with a length over the buffers of 18,600 millimeters and a service weight of originally 118.7 tons, later 121 tons. They reached 90 kilometers per hour. Since they were created during the Second World War, they were referenced to as so-called war electric locomotives. A total of 146 of these locomotives were built during the war between 1940 and the end of the Second World War. They could transport up to 2,000 tons, almost at maximum speed. And even on gradients of 10 per mil, that is 1%, they could still pull 1,600 ton trains at speeds of 40 kilometers per hour without any problems. They were then not only used as planned on uphill German routes, but especially on mountain routes in the Austrian Alps. Of course, the prerequisite was that the relevant routes had electrification in place. At the end of the war, however, 53 locomotives of this series were no longer operational. Many had suffered damages from shelling, for example. Most of the remaining locos remained in the western part of the country, that is, with the German Federal Railway. Not only could some of the remaining parts be repaired, but other locomotives could also be assembled and finally completed. But also in the 1950s, the German Federal Railways built 43 more locomotives of this series, so that there were ultimately 124 locomotives of the class E94 in the Federal Republic of Germany, which were redesignated as class 194 in the year 1968. Here they were actually used as originally planned for many years in heavy freight traffic, but also as push locomotives on the Geislinger Steige and on what's called Spessartrampe in the southwestern part of Germany. Ultimately, they were retired from the German Federal Railway by 1988. The situation was completely different in the eastern part of the country. Only 19 locomotives remained in the Deutsche Reichsbahn area, 10 of which were no longer operational. 14 locomotives then had to be taken to the Soviet Union as reparations, where they were regauged just like the 11 locomotives from Silesia. However, these 25 locos came back to the GDR in the early 1950s, though due to the now changed track width, they could not be used trivially. On the contrary, they were returned completely disassembled. After intensive renovation work, 23 locomotives were put back into service between the years 1956 and 1961. From 1970 onwards, they were redesignated as Class 254, and some were still in use until the German reunification. Today, numerous locomotives from this class still exist due to their wide and long use. 8 of the Deutsche Bundesbahn locomotives are still preserved, 8 further locos of the Deutsche Reichsbahn, and in Austria, the ÖBB has as many as 16 locomotives from this class.